Hi there, and welcome back. My name is Shri, and we're building Pong, and this is part 4. So, my original intention was to go through and do the menus and the UI today, but after sharing this on ziggit.dev, a great community of people, I got some very useful feedback. So I wanted to include these fixes first, and we'll go through it bit by bit. So some easy stuff which we can do is just some stylistic things. I named paddle.z and ball.z with lowercase because I hadn't read the bits here completely. So where was it? File names fall into two categories: types and namespaces. If the file, implicitly a struct, has top level fields, it should be named like any other struct with fields using title case. So I just not really read that part. I just read that it should be snake case. So I did a Google and or a web search, and it told me that it should be snake case. It wasn't clear enough. So that was an error that we can fix. Structs that aren't, this was something I didn't know about. Structs that aren't used as config arguments shouldn't have default field initializers. It should just have an init function. It should just have an init field that's constant, that represents the initial state of the struct. I was reading up on this, and my understanding is that this is relevant and important because the default parameters are used for things that can be overridden, which is not the case in some of the default ones that I've got set up. So we'll make that change, and we should be using RLS in more places. So instead of this, we define the type on the left, and then we just let it pick that up. So there's a bit more information about that here as well. It's got a bit more. I'll link that in the description if you'd like to read through it. So from a structural perspective, here's a bug. I don't check the y-axis for collisions in some cases, and that's something that we want to fix. And here's a couple of structural issues. isColliding shouldn't be responsible for the paddle's coloring. I felt icky when I was doing that anyway, and I was just being lazy. So we'll think about how we want to capture that debug information. We probably don't need it anymore, so maybe we'll just delete it. We can work it out as we do it. And here's another interesting one. The position values for the window size are in some places hard-coded, and other places it is not. We should use the actual window size to be able to determine that stuff so that it will work for any window size, or if it's full screen or whatever. So let's get started, and I'm just thinking about where we want to start. Maybe we'll do the easy stuff first. Let's rename these ones. Let me just see. First, let me go into and then switch to Pong / part 4. Right, I forgot the -c. Right, so should be fairly straightforward. We just all right, I can't use some of the Vim shortcuts here. Paddle, ball. I don't think main matters. Main can stay like that, and we just need to update it in here. Paddle and ball. Do we use it in main? Probably use both. Zig build. If So the build succeeds, then it should be fine. Why does this not work? It is possible that those errors can be ignored. Yeah, it can. Zig build run. I keep meaning to look at that at some point. How do I? Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay. Good. So GWS dot GIA dot. Yeah, that's fine. So, I don't want to commit the README file. Git reset README, because that was just me taking notes. I should add a README file in here at some point. GC style fix file name format. Right, so we can tick that one off. Let's do this one. That one, unfortunately, we only have a couple of classes, so we can check it easily. I think it's this one, score equals UA. That's not an overridable field, so we should have a pub const init equals ball. But then how do we set values for the other ones? Let's just have a look. Structs that aren't used as config arguments shouldn't have default field initializers. If the initial state of a struct is static, make a public constant called init that represents the initial state of the struct. But we don't have a couple of the initial values. So does that mean that, actually we do use an init here. Right, so actually what I should do is comma dot score equals 0. And let me just check if we have anything in ball. We do. And we have an init here as well, so that's fine. Dot R equals 16. I'm just thinking that R is a config parameter that can be overridden, but it isn't really. It's not really a config object. Dot val equals let me just comma. I don't think there are no structs here to worry about. Let's just do a Zig build run. So that'll take care of that, and then we'll use RLS. Okay, so that's 2 down. Let me just commit that. GIA dot. I'll keep doing README, which I don't need. GC. What was that? I forgot what I did. Oh yes, this is really a refactor. Will stop using default values on non-config structs. Let me just add a link here, please. See for more info. There we go. And then we have RLS in more places. Okay. I think that's down here. Yeah, here we go. Paddle paddle ball. Nice. And let me just check that there isn't. Oops. Init. Nope. I don't think we use it anywhere. Oh gosh, there's some drilling outside. Hopefully you can't hear that. Okay, so GWS, GIA, SRC, GC, refactor, use RLS. Let's just see if they can summarize why we should use RLS. Signed optional as a motive, consider the type of result type, instructs the compiler to coerce this. This is not implementation detail. Right. Right. As a type integer result type. To coerce this integer to this type, we will see there's not implementation detail. Need to do a bit of reading there. That's fine. I will just as it is preferred. I could link it to that feedback as well, but I realized that when I merge it in, I'll just add that feedback link in there, and that will cover all of it. So does that cover that one? It does. So we've now got all three of these stylistic changes fixed. Now let's maybe start at the top because it's easy enough, which is, let's fix the collision, which happens in, actually let me just check. Before I check, let me just find the code first. So isColliding. So let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that. Actually, we'll do that later. So this is one bit where we have the problem because we're doing ball.pos.y and we're just comparing that with self.pos.y. We are not adding in the radius. So this is if the ball bounces off the top of the paddle. Where do we check? It's been a little while since I looked at this code. Where do we check the edges? Do we do that in the ball? Check edge collisions. Right, self.pos.y. We're not checking self.pos.y plus or minus the radius. Let's just have a look. Just realized that. Let me just bounce this up. Y equals 150. Right. Zig build run. Oops, 150 is not enough. Let's do 3. I don't mind it bouncing up and down. We can see it a bit better. Interesting that it's not so obvious that it goes to the middle. Doesn't look like it's clipping, which is all the more confusing. Oh no, because I do check the radius here, so up and down is fine. So it was just this one, and this one is quite difficult to test because you need to get the ball right on the top edge of the paddle. Let's see if we can't. Oops. Yeah, that one does clip. You can see it. Yeah, okay. That's good. That wasn't quite as hard to test as I thought. So ball.pause is greater than or equal to. So in this case, it should be plus ball.r. And this should be minus. Or it's the other way around. I can't. My brain is not really able to think that one through, but we'll just see how it looks. And then we can less than self.pause plus size.y. Yeah, okay. So let's check how that does it. Okay. I think that looks better. Yeah, that definitely looks better. Let's bring this down a bit more. A little bit more. Yep, that's definitely hitting the corner there. Yeah, I'll just wait and see that one again. I missed it because I was paying attention to the, yeah, that's definitely the corner. Yeah, better, great. I don't want to add the velocity change. So GIA, which one? src / paddle. So this is a fix. What was it? Improve paddle y-axis collision detection. Okay, and that brings us to isColliding. Let's just fix that. We'll just remove the debug information because we don't really care anymore. And then we can make this a const. If I wanted to have the debug information here, then I would need to put that in a function that calls this one. That would be the way of kind of handling it, because it probably still makes sense to have isColliding as a simple function that does just one thing, and then we would compose it into another function, but we don't need it. So so GWS, GIA, which one is that? src / paddle. Okay. This is a, what would it be? Is this a fix? I mean, it's partly a refactor, but I've removed some functionality. Fix. Ensure this colliding does only one thing. Okay, and then right, the last one. Last one here. There's actually, before we do that last one, which is annoying, let's just do this one, because there was one suggestion based on part 3 as well, which is that we should encapsulate the move up. We should encapsulate the paddle movement logic in move up and move down instead of it going into main, which makes sense. So in here, what we've got is we define how much the paddle should move in main, which is not the best place for it. So what we should do is we should move it into the paddle. So what we can actually do is we can make that not public. And then, oops. Okay, come on. Pub fn move up, and we only need them once. So self star paddle void. So move up would be self dot move up is -100. And let's do move down. Oops. pubfn move down self paddle self dot move a. Oh, I need the dt as well, right? Okay, we'll do that. 100 comma dt dt f32 comma dt comma dt f32, so that we keep that frame rate independent. So all we need to do now is left paddle dot move w is up dt, and it's easier to read and understand what happens here now as well. Left paddle dot move down dt, much nicer. Right paddle dot move up dt, and right paddle dot move down dt. Let's give it a test run. Mr. Semicolon. Is that it? Okay. That works. So SRC, GWD, oops. So that's again just, this is paddle and main. src slash paddle, src slash main. Let me just check. Might have been easier to do this from the from Vim, but here we are. GC refactor improve encapsulation of paddle move logic. Okay, now that brings us finally to possibly the most annoying one. Here we go, this one. Let's have a quick look. I don't know where all we use the sizes, so actually we should probably only use it here. Is that get screen height? What I should do is wait. I wonder if I fix some of this along the way. Screen height, screen width. Do we use some other numbers in here? Y equals 200. Okay, we're setting the position for this one. Wait, no. Oh yeah, Y can't be 200, because if the screen is bigger, then that would be incorrect. Size is fine. Okay, so what we need then is we also need comma max y f32. Y is f32, isn't it? Yes, vector 2. Okay, so max y divided by 2, actually times 0.5 plus this one's height. We should offset it by half this one's height as well. So minus size dot y times 0.5. So, and then when we create the paddles, we'll pass that in dot left comma rl dot get screen height. Actually, let's just get the screen height once. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. Actually, wait, let me just remember the numbers. 800, 450. Let's then set these values to rl.get screen width and rl.get screen height. Okay, that's a bit cleaner. Screen height. Actually, let's just call this screen height. It's a bit clearer. Right paddle also needs that screen height, although that's named incorrectly. That's the wrong formatting. It should be screen width and screen height. That's just the way the default Raylib Zig thing for styles it, which is incorrect. Okay, so that sorts that one. I wonder if, let me just run it. Finding hard-coded numbers is annoying. Expected F32, found I32, right. That, I almost feel like this should take an I32. And then here we can do F screen F, we'll just call it height, F32 const equals at float from int screen height. And let's just do that here. I could do it in line, but then I'd need an at as well, and that's just annoying. That line would get very big. Wait. Okay. Maybe. Because I'm doing some math here, which requires them to be float. So it makes more sense for us to make them float here. F32, F32, and then float from int. Oops. Float from int. Let's see if that makes it a bit better. Right, the paddles do look more center positioned as well. And what we can also do is let's just make it a different size. Let's make it 1000 by 950. That is a weird oops. It's a weird what do you call it, ratio, but okay, but at least that's working. And it looks like that might have been the main culprit where we are not using the actual screen size. Some of these are just ratios, that's fine. This one is fine because that's going to be fixed size regardless of the size of the screen. And then if we look at ball, there is the velocity here, which probably does matter, and we'll make it a bit quicker later. Oh, but the velocity gets reset here, but interesting. Anyway, that's fine. GWD src / ball. Just want to see if anything else changed. It did not. src / ball. gwd src/paddle and main GIA src gid. Just want to check what's changed here. Yep, that's good. GC. What are we doing? We are fixing make the game resolution independent. Let's just call it Pong. And I think that's it. So collision is now better. That one has tidied up a bit. We've tidied up the isColliding one, and the position values, or we use the actual values. Sorry, that was. You mentioned. Yeah, so everything is based on the window size now. And we fixed the stylistic stuff. Structs, we fixed that. We're using RLS. And the final one was we encapsulated more of the movement logic. And that's it. This is already a long enough video, so I'll leave this one here. And in the next one, we'll tackle the UI elements. We'll pull in DVUI and we'll show the scoring. And we'll also see if we can tackle a menu so that you can reset, restart, and quit, and anything else we can think of. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.